Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, my greedy ex-wife sued me after divorcing me to take everything I have away from me and ruin my life. However, life played an Uno reverse card on her. Here is what happened, let's dive right into the video. So I was married for 3 years to a woman that seemed great when I dated her, okay when I married her, and then into a total nightmare after. I even asked people close to me if she was this bad the entire time, and I was just blinded by love. They said that when they told me they liked her, they had been telling the truth. She was sweet around them as well, and then just a sudden shift into what I felt was a new person. Or maybe just her true self finally showing itself, and what I knew for years was just a mask she was wearing. We both knew that it wasn't gonna work out and had to get a divorce. I wished that the world worked where I could just get a clean slate, split our assets and walk our separate ways. The thing was that I knew I made more money than she did and I was gonna be forced by the courts to give her alimony. In our state, the law says 40% of my income. I was willing to do that honestly if I meant just writing a monthly check and treating her like a hefty bill. She wanted more than that though, and it was causing the entire divorce to be at a standstill, with her making outrageous demands if she was gonna sign the papers. I had hired a lawyer who helped me find a mediator type person to try and work out an agreement, since just us two in a room was never gonna cause anything to get done. Now, what I was offering her in addition to the 40% that she was refusing was the following. I wanted to sell the house and split the profit after the mortgage got paid off 50-50. She refused that and wanted her half before the mortgage got paid. Meaning, say we had 500k left on the house and sold it for 1 million, she wanted 500k and then the rest would pay off the mortgage. Meaning, I would get screwed over, and then it turned into her demanding that I give her the house entirely. The house was in my name and I was willing to sign it over to her, but then the mortgage would be her problem. She refused that as well. She wanted the house signed over to her, but for me to still make the payments. Nothing I offered was good enough for her, even when it already leaned in her favor. I was losing patience the more I realized she was getting a kick out of this and had every intention to get as much money as possible from me. Even more than money, because she would fight over things that I owned going into the relationship that only held sentimental value, demanding I give it to her. She wanted a painting that my grandma did over 50 years ago just to be spiteful. What she didn't realize was that I was holding all the cards, and when I decided to have enough, I said screw it and let the divorce go to court to decide who gets what. She actually smiled, thinking she would get everything she wanted and I would be left with literally nothing. She had this notion in her mind that since she was the woman, the courts would grant her everything. That is not what happened though, because as I said before, I only owed her that 40%. As for the house, I kept both options open and she agreed to have the house signed over to her as well. Cars, we each had our own, so there was no issue there. And no kids, so that was another usually tricky thing that I didn't need to worry about. We signed the papers to agree to these terms and I was ready to just move on. However, my ex just could not help herself with her greed though, and I found myself getting taken to court by her. Now, she was claiming to the court that I was not paying what I was meant to. This is stuff courts get all the time, and I contacted my lawyer about what I should do here. I had proof that she deposited the checks I'd been sending, which is all that should matter. I brought that with me in a folder and waited to hear what kind of lies she had to say in front of the court. Ex, he's trying to cheat me out of my money and make sure that I end up homeless. The electricity has been turned off, there's no hot water, and I keep getting letters about overdue payments from the bank. Court, according to what we have on file, he is supposed to be giving you the standard 40% alimony. At this point, he should have been paying you for 3 months, turning to me. Court, can you tell me why you have not been submitting the agreed upon payments? Me, I've been sending the checks every month. I brought the bank statement to show this. I handed it over and he looks it over to see that everything is fine. He can only look at my ex confused. Court, it shows you've been getting the checks. Ex, this is not about the checks. He stopped paying the bills. Court, the house is in your name. He has no obligation to pay your bills. She decided to quickly change tactics. Ex, well, what he is sending me now is not 40% of his income. I know for a fact that he has way more than that. She gets told that this is not the place for something like that, and she has to file something to get a forced review of my taxes. She was not 100% wrong though about me having more money than that. See, the money I have to give her is from my income, but I also have a very sizable trust from my parents, and according to the law, she has no right to any of that money. Hell, I could stop working, live off my trust, and she would get nothing. I don't want to do that mainly because I like my job and would have no feeling of fulfillment anymore. It was also why I didn't care about giving her almost half my income. It didn't matter to me with the other stuff I had. She did file to argue the amount I was giving and brought my trust up to the courts. She demanded that I give her half of it and just didn't seem to understand when she was told no. She had officially gotten too greedy and she was about to end up with pretty much nothing. The mortgage and bills on the house were basically using up all the money that I was giving her. She had to get a job if she wanted to keep living the life she had because the courts would not make me fully support her. Even if she sold the house, she would need to pay the taxes and mortgage off. Plus, every time she takes me to court, it's costing her in lawyer fees. Finally, she didn't realize that she was taking all of her debt with her in the divorce, so despite what I was paying her based on my calculations, she was losing money every single month. If she had just not been so greedy and taken what I was offering, she would have been able to start a new life and not be so screwed over. Instead of trying to milk me for all of my money and end up losing pretty much everything. In the end, my now ex-wife ended up bankrupt and homeless on the street. She lost the house and everything that she needed for her former fancy lifestyle. She was homeless for some time but eventually ended up moving back in with her parents. As for me, I found a new partner and I'm happier than ever before. Although I must say, marriage is probably off the table for me now. The next one is a petty revenge story. Backstory: I, 22 male, have a twin sister, Karen, 22 female, who mostly cares about herself. We both recently graduated college and still live at home with her room right across the hall from mine. Her boyfriend, John, 22 male, stays over a lot of weekends and is pretty much family at this point. However, she treats him like crap and is constantly belittling him and yelling at him for stupid things. She is a teacher and he does manual labor. On Saturday morning I was woken up at 8 AM by Karen yelling at John. She wanted him to go to the gym with her and he wanted to sleep. This happens almost every weekend. I told her to be quiet because I was trying to sleep and also to leave him alone. She responded that she didn't care, that I was trying to sleep and that it's 8 AM and I should be up anyways. Since she is a teacher, she's on summer break and doesn't have to catch up on sleep during the weekends. Karen ends up leaving and going to the gym without John, but not before she calls him lazy, despite the fact that he does manual labor for a living. She also thinks that she has the hardest job in the world, and no one could possibly understand how hard it is. I'll admit, it is hard, but she uses it to diminish the work that everyone else does. So cue the revenge. It just so happens that my parents were leaving on vacation on Monday. This means that Karen and I will have to take care of our dog. Since I have to get up to go to work, I have morning duty and she has night duty. My mom is an early riser and therefore my dog goes out at 5 AM in the morning. I will have to get up at that time for the next week, so guess who is gonna be woken up as well? Yep, it is Karen, and when she gets mad and yells to get out of her room, I will tell her all the things she told me when I wanted to sleep. Sweet dreams, Karen. And yeah, Ripe Stars, if you have enjoyed the story so far, then please don't forget to like the video and maybe even leave a comment, because that would help me tremendously in regards to beating the stupid algorithm, which by the way lately is giving me problems once again. Anyway, thank you very much for your support, and now let's continue with a malicious compliance story. Hey everyone, long-time lurker, first-time poster. This malicious compliance comes from my time working at a bank in their contact center. I literally have hundreds of stories about that place and its customers, but today I would like to share a story that has always brought a smile to many a suffering customer service coworker's face about the time we got one back for the good guys. Backstory: I was employed as customer service officer. I had been with the bank for about 18 months at this point, mostly working afternoon shifts, but recently the bank had moved to a 24-hour customer service model, so while most of the bank would be closed, head office, complaints, credit, etc., we were still open. The cast is me, night manager, customer, head of customer relations and retentions. Let me set the scene here. 10 PM midweek, fluorescent lights flicker overhead. The call board empty and I'm literally counting the seconds left in my shift, ready to go home. Phone call pops onto my screen. I think, damn, I always get a call just before I finish. Me mastering my best customer service voice. Hi, thanks for calling the bank. You're speaking with OP. How can I help you? I hear nothing but dead air, so I start to repeat myself. Hi, you're speaking with... When I hear the tone of voice and words every contact center worker has heard at some point, it just lets you know that you are in for a great call. Not. Customer, loud sigh. Yes, I'm here. God, what takes you people so long to answer? What are you doing? As noted before, there was no calls on the board. This customer did not wait in queue. He would have gone through to the IVR to enter his customer number and PIN before being put through to me. Maximum 60 seconds. Me trying to not provoke any further and get this customer off the phone as quickly as I can so I can go home. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Our system does not show a queue, but I'm sorry that you had to wait. What can I do for you this evening? Customer seems to settle down and starts explaining that the reason for the call was the interest charges on the most recent credit card bill. He was sure that they were a mistake because I always pay my bills on time. And I don't like paying you bloodsuckers any more than I have to. Charming, I know, so I place him on hold to look at his account. I started looking at the payment history, when payments were due/received, what the balances were, etc. Then I quickly looked at the customer's interaction notes. This is where the bank records, any contact with the customer as well as any fee waivers, special interest rates, etc. go, and I see an interesting series of notes from colleagues of mine stating things like customer advised interest was charged due to full payment not received by due date. Customer threatened to close all accounts with bank. Manager approved interest waiver. Notes like this went on for months until there was a note from the head of customer relations and retention stating if customer threatens to close accounts to seek waiver of fees, interest or other charges, please process immediately. No retention authorized. I was a bit shocked because usually the bank would do a lot to keep existing customers like they told us in training. It's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to gain a new one. So I call over my night manager to read the notes and give him a heads up. I've got a feeling the customer is gonna be demanding another interest waiver. My cool night manager said, well, if he does, do what the note says. Total hold time, maybe 2 minutes. I take the customer off hold and thank him for waiting. Customer, about time. My time is very valuable, you know, so have you fixed it yet? I start explaining that the interest charges are valid because he didn't pay off his balance before the due date. He goes ballistic. He starts calling me every conceivable name under the sun and mid-sentence stops. He plays it like he has just had an idea. Fine, if the interest charges are valid, I'm gonna close my accounts. I wanna close my accounts with you now. At this point, I'm excited about putting him in his place, but I also want to cover my ass, so I ask, so just to be certain, you are instructing me to close all of your accounts with us, including your credit card, savings account and transactional account? Customer, are you stupid? That's what I said. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Me grinning my ass off. Okay, no problems. I will just place you on hold to do that for you. I hit the hold button fast just as I heard him say, no, with my night manager's help, we close his accounts. His savings account was a term deposit, so by breaking the term early, he had to pay an early access fee of 10% of the balance. We used the money in his transactional account to cover the outstanding balance in his credit card, including the interest, and sent a request for a check to be issued for the remaining money. I took the customer off hold. Me, again thank you for your patience. As requested, your accounts are now closed. Was there anything else I can help you with tonight? If I thought the customer went ballistic before, oh boy. There was talk of suing the bank, suing me, suing my night manager, suing the head of customer relations and retentions, that we were guilty of discrimination, that I did not have the authority to do what I did, he's gonna call the police, and that we are thieves. Some other ways of telling me how useless I am and how I can kill MS. You get the picture. Me still smiling because I know I nor anyone else at my bank will have to deal with this a-hole again. Sir, I understand you're upset, however, on a recorded phone call you instructed me to close your accounts. I have complied with your wishes, as there is nothing else for us to speak about tonight. Thank you for calling the bank and have a good night. And then I hung up on him before he could say another word. My night manager created an incident report and sent it to Head of Customer Relations and Retentions with an attached copy of the call recording. I later found out Head of Customer Relations and Retentions sent the customer a letter telling him that he was banned from our bank for life due to the vile and disgusting way he had spoken to me. We would never do business with him ever again, and if he called or visited a branch, we would be the ones calling the cops. Do you want to know what the total interest charges were that started all of this? $30. His term deposit had $20K in it. He cost himself $2,000 in early exit fees because he thought he could bully his way out of $30 in interest. And yeah, ripe stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this story, but I would say that this douchebag got exactly what he deserved. Also, OP and his colleagues are definitely not people I would want to mess with. But honestly, that's a textbook perfect example of how to deal with an entitled person when you're working in customer service at a bank. Anyway, the next one is titled Best Pro Revenge Ever. So this one is a double government employee event, and what you should know is that if you get the attention of a government employee and make them angry, they will make your life a living hell. Sorry, this is a long one. So the setup is that I was working for a local county government in the permitting department that handled drainage and floodplain enforcement. I received a complaint from a homeowner, a nice guy, that lived next door to a house that was part of an incorporated village. Not nice guy. This nice guy lived in an unincorporated portion of the county and hence the call to me as an agent of the county. I drove out to the site and to investigate and discovered some interesting facts. The permitting agent for the village allowed the incorporated homeowner to fill his lot, affecting the drainage, which caused the unincorporated lot to flood every time there was anything more than light rain. Nice guy indicated that there was some tension between him and not nice guy, and part of the issue was that nice guy and his partner were a gay couple. This ran up a red flag for me, but in trying to be impartial, I took the information and some photos for the file and indicated that I would contact the village to find a resolution. I wrote a letter and then called the village inspector, Jack Wagon, to discuss. I was told by Jack Wagon that the village could do as it pleased and that I could do nothing to stop Not Nice Guy from doing as they pleased, as it was approved by the village. There was then a comment about those types of people, aka the gay couple, making complaints just to cause trouble. I was now on the case, and it was time to make sure everything done on the incorporated lot was 100% legal. At this point, the game certainly was now on, because if there's one thing that grinds my gears, it is bullying. I went back out and spoke to Nice Guy to let them know what I was up to, and also that I was not gonna let this slide. I then started investigating the elevations on the two lots and what fill had been placed on the incorporated lot. The Not Nice Guy came out and started getting belligerent about my presence and ongoing investigation. He incorrectly stated that I did not have jurisdiction over his lot and that he would be calling the police. I patiently listened and then pulled out my two-way radio and requested that the home base dispatch both a village and a county police unit to the location. I then indicated that since there was a regulatory floodplain on his lot, I did in fact have jurisdiction and that I would be exercising my right to determine the impact of his fill activities upon that floodplain. Both of the police units showed up and I let them know what was going on. They were both appropriately agitated to have to waste their time and let Not Nice Guy know that I was within my authority to proceed with the investigation. A little while later, while I was measuring things, Jack Wagon showed up. He started berating me about harassing the village residents and threatening calling my boss and filing a complaint and so forth. I invited him to do so, quoting which parts of the code he should indicate I was violating. I was using marking paint to show the limits of the floodplain for the photos for the file, and what do you know, Jack Wagon's shoe got painted when he tried to stop me. Obviously, he was even more angry, as was the homeowner, due to very bright orange paint in the grass in his yard. I pointed out that I had done the same on the neighboring lots, but they just kept complaining. It was actually marking chalk that comes off pretty easily, and interestingly, I found two really wrong things on Not Nice Guy's lot. Number one, there was fill placed in the floodplain, and number two, a garden shed was built on the fill and partially within the floodplain. Both are a big no-no and are actually against federal law, so the course of action had two parts. Number one, make the incorporated homeowner remove the fill and shed from the floodplain, and number two, let Nice Guy place fill in their lot outside of the floodplain to counteract the fill remaining in Not Nice Guy's lot outside of the floodplain. I also told Nice Guy it would be a good idea to run a field tile on their side to drain the water that would inevitably pond up between the two lots when it rained. Predictably, Not Nice Guy and Jack Wagon got super angry when I sent the letter out that there were violations that either had to be corrected, aka remove fill and shed, or apply for a revision of the floodplain with the Army Corps of Engineers. Good luck with that. This then led to a meeting at the county office with Not Nice Guy, Jack Wagon, my supervisor and myself. Quickly things went to 11 and there was yelling by Jack Wagon about abuse of power, etc. The department head came into the conference room and told them both that they were wrong and that they should leave peacefully and comply or face the consequences, aka fines. The best part was that Not Nice Guy had to apply for a permit, and guess who was the one to review and approve it? That's right, yours truly. Now, I was following the letter of the law, but you have to know that poor government workers are underpaid and overworked. Strangely, the permit for Nice Guy was almost immediately approved, while Not Nice Guy had to have a very thorough review to ensure it was correct. You could make a case that I was abusing my power, but I can assure you that the timing for their review was well within acceptable limits. Also, how could I be held to account that they misfiled 3 times before they finally got it right? Generally, if you behaved like a civil human and came to the office, we would help you get things done properly, so the permit would go through first time, but Not Nice Guy decided he could do it all on his own, so it took him 3 tries. Had he come to the office, I would have given him the same service as others, but he decided to take the hard route, and therefore I did not give a single inch when it came to the submission being perfectly correct. Ultimately, the situation was resolved, but it took a lot more effort than it should have. Moral of the story, don't be an entitled homophobic a-hole. And yeah, ripe stars, I guess just some people want to live life the hard way and be douchebags. However, I dearly hope that people like OP teach these entitled idiots a lesson that they will never forget. But then again, some people, especially when they are older, they probably won't change. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please check out my endless playlist, where you can find thousands of hours of content. In addition, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.